Hi, I'm Nicole Havelka, and this is Heather Vickery, and we're going to have a great conversation today. We'll do a little preambling nonsense because we know it takes a hot minute for people to find us, but somebody is joining us out there. If you want to let us know who that is in the chat, we'd be happy to chat right on back with you. I'm Nicole Havelka. I'm a burnout recovery coach and sustainability strategist, and soon to be podcaster. My podcast, yay! My podcast, Just Rest, is dropping the trailer next a week from tomorrow, December 18th. I'm so stoked. Subscribe to my Substack if you want to be the first to know about all of the good stuff, including a party I'm going to be having next December 18th on Thursday to do. It'll be fun. We're going to do rage journaling about what we hate about grind culture. We're going to do a little mini rest practice. We're going to dress in our snuggliest clothing. And we're going to rate and review the podcast and give the middle finger to the algorithm. Woo! It'll be really great. So, Heather, who are you? And then I'll tell everybody why we're here.
Hi, folks. I'm Heather Vickery. I'm a transformation coach, podcaster, author, and retreat host. I help people go from where they are to where they want to be by learning to deeply and completely know, like, and trust themselves, and then unwire all the bullshit society puts on us that keeps us small and not living our best aligned life. And I do that mainly through human design, NLP, subconscious reprogramming, which includes EFT tapping, hypnotherapy, subliminal work, all that kind of fun stuff. And I'm all about breaking the fucking rules because I believe that you are worthy of leading an aligned life that and having embodied joy and having that be your foundation. And that's what I'm constantly working towards. I'm hosting a retreat in Costa Rica. It now in I don't know, like 43 days, 42 days, something crazy. Like January 20th, we're going. I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing. And then just thinking about year-end wrap-up stuff. So yeah, folks, it just doesn't have to be that hard all the time. Even though I know it feels hard all the time. It doesn't have to be.
Yes, it doesn't have to be that. And that's going to be on my list of things to talk about today. So I had a wild idea, as I sometimes do. And I thought, you know what? Let me back up. It's really important to me in my business and in my life that I reflect on what I'm learning all the time and not what we too often do, and I myself included, get stuck on what's not working. Right?
All the time.
All the time. Our brains are wired to really pay attention to the shit that's not working. And there's good reason. It's survival reasons are the reasons our brain does that. And that's not always bad that we're focusing on the stuff that is bad or that we're getting stuck on. On the other hand, what we don't do is then we can just be like looking at the thing and then just hitting your head against that rock, right? There was a long time ago, I went on a weekend to do a mountain biking, like it was a mountain biking weekend. I never mountain biked again, by the way, but I've gotten a lot of mileage out of this story. I like to bike, but not with a lot of rocks, as it turns out. So I learned something from that. One of the lessons they teach you in this mountain biking class or weekend that I did is that you don't look at the rock because you're going to hit the rock or whatever's in your way. You don't look at the obstacle, you find the through line. And that's where you put your eye, because your eye's going to, especially with your body, you're going to turn your bike or whatever, your car or whatever, you're going to turn to go for where you need to go. But if you look at the tree or the rock or the, big tree root or whatever it is, you're going to hit it. And I have used that metaphor in lots and lots of things because it's really good for life. And I think that's why it's part of why it's really important to me that I reflect on what I'm learning. And I know Heather is wired similarly, and we always have a lot of fun when we talk. So we
do.
So we're sneaking this little conversation in between two other things for both of us have something at the top of the hour. So
yeah,
but we're throwing this in because it'll be fun.
Reflection is so important, Nicole, and it's part of. So I would say I want people to feel successful with ease and joyful with ease. So the ease pathway is sort of what I take people through, but I have a method, and one of the things that we implement is the brave method. And that the R is reassessment, reframing, and resilience. And paying attention to what you're doing, slowing down, pausing, reflecting, asking yourself honest questions about it is what gains that awareness that then is the catalyst for any growth and change that you want in your life. So it is super, super important. And I have it was funny because you asked me to do this several weeks ago and I said yes. This morning I was like, three things. But I think it's because I do this so often that I was like, what new three things do I have? I'm not sure. And I'm not, but there are some. I have them. We're good. But I do this consistently, like almost daily, where I'm like, "Ooh, okay, how did that feel? What do I want? Do I want more of that? Do I want less of that? Do I want to keep that?" Constant like, reassessment. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's amazing to do it annually. But I also want people to bring it in more consistently because then you are constantly what I call taking radical responsibility for yourself and for your life because you're looking at what's happening from a lens of intentional awareness instead of just being a passenger.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's part of what happens if you say do it, start by doing it annually or monthly or whatever the thing is. And thanks for joining us, Robert. I can see that you joined us there. Um, uh, if you do it even a little bit, it becomes
Of
easier
course.
or almost reflex to do it all the time. I don't, kind of like you, I bet I don't even, in some ways, don't know I'm doing it. It's just something that
Yeah,
sort of happens in the moment, and
I
it
get that.
becomes like a reflex.
I get that. Uh
I mean,
I I agree. So earlier this fall, one of my and I don't mean to go first, but one of my
go
3
ahead.
is um continuing to deepen my practice with choosing peace. And what I mean by that is not allowing myself to get worked up or wrapped up in things that I can't do anything about.
Mhm.
And so for me, that's a quick assessment when I can feel my hackles rise, when I can feel like shit, this is gonna blow up. It's for me, it's in the moment going, here's the information I have. Is there anything I can do? What can I do? I do what I can and I release what I can't. And a really great example of that is that earlier this fall, my permitted daughter, who takes her driver's test today, by the way, um, totaled my car and hit 3 other cars. And fortunately, we were all fine and no one got hurt. And that's the most important thing. Um, and afterwards, she was like, "Why didn't you yell at me?" And I said, "Well, because that didn't solve any problems. And I don't feel like yelling at you. Like, you made a mistake." She goes, "It was a big mistake." It was a big mistake. We make big mistakes. Later that month, I took 2 of my daughters to Seattle for family weekend at the University of Washington, and we flew Alaska Air. It was my first time flying Alaska Air. And as soon as we landed, I got a notification to check in for my return flight home, which was supposed to be 3 days later, but I had booked our return flight home for the same day we got there. This was a very expensive mistake.
Yeah, because you have to rebook those for, really, really
Yes.
last minute. Oh my
So I
gosh.
lost the money, yep, for the way there, and then I had to pay, but it was the same thing. It was like, this is the situation. There's absolutely nothing I can do about the situation except book another flight home
Right.
and let it go. And beating myself up over it and not having a good time while I'm here doesn't fix anything. So those are both personal examples, but I do it with work. I have a corporate client who is responsible for a significant amount of my income and I'm grateful for them. They cut client hours a little bit and I'm like, shit, this is a several $1,000 hit. And then I went, what can I do about it? Like, oh, I could send an email and express that if any other opportunities come up, I would be interested in being considered.
Mhm.
And beyond that, I should let it go and maybe hope that this is leaving my calendar open for another opportunity that I'm not yet aware of, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything's a choice. So doubling down on leaning into choosing peace. And that means that I have to actively take radical responsibility for myself in the way that I interact with everything happening around me so that I'm keeping my nervous system regulated and
Yeah.
controlling what I can and releasing what I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. So that choosing ease, that choosing
Choosing
peace.
ease. Yeah, like choosing peace is choosing ease. And it's funny because I was telling my brand new 16-year-old who's taking her driver's ed test today, or her road test today, that we were having this conversation. And I was like, yeah, I'm like thinking, like, what are my three things? And she said, oh, I want to know what they are. And I was telling her about, peace. And she's like, oh, I was reading, and I love this. I was reading about, Buddhist teachings and how it's healthier to seek peace than it is to seek joy, because with joy there's you're always going to, or happiness, there's always going to be a downside. You're going to be happy and then you're going to not be happy, like whatever, right? And she said, but peace, if what you're seeking is peace, there can be joy and there can be sadness, there can be happiness, there can be frustration. Like, peace is internal regardless of the emotions around it. And first of all, I just loved that she said that and that she knew that. And I think that's true. And choosing peace is choosing ease. Like, having that frustration and fighting against the things that you can't control, the only thing it does is make you unhappy.
Yeah, for sure. So it's interesting then that we both had almost the same one on our list. That was in it. That one
Of
happened to be.
course.
So I had, so I'm going to yes and what you just said because I had a slightly different take on it, but not very different, which is like to create more ease. And
Mm,
choosing ease, I think, is another way of saying basically what I'm saying is that like the words that I wrote down were like things don't have to be really complicated to be good.
ooh, I like that. I think it is different. I think the two things are different, but
Okay.
I think that they complement each other.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And so I'm making some really radical changes in my business that, well, radical may be a strong word, but like some big changes in my business that means in order to do new things, you have to like you have to let go of some things. Like there's partially just out of practicality, nobody's time is infinite. But
Yeah.
like so I'm and in the process of that trying to build a life that's simpler around that.
Mm.
So, like offering things that are simple to people. Like I'm going to be two things that I'm offering. One is going to be my new podcast, which, as I've already said, the trailer drops December 18th. The first three episodes will drop January 1st, which is super exciting. And uh, I, at the same time, I actually did my last planning session in at least in the context of my Defy the Trend burnout coaching recovery community that I've had for 4 years, I think. And it took a lot of time and had not enough return. Like the things I did in there were good and valuable to people. And I learned a
Yeah.
lot. Like the things that I learned in there are definitely coming forward, right? But in terms of it was always a hard sell. Partially, and at some point, once you've been doing something for 4 years, the amount of content you have is just insane, and
Yeah.
people have a lot of trouble maneuvering it, and I don't even have time to curate it all well, like that kind of thing. So I'm like,
Yeah.
"It's time for a reset." So I'm gonna call the
Super.
new thing is gonna be much simpler, it's just gonna be the planning piece called the Calm Calendar Club is what I'm calling it.
Love
And
that.
so we're gonna be making ease and joy and peace in our calendars all the time, um, and a much simpler version of what I had been doing. So that's just an
I
example, but
love
I'm
that.
also like, what else? Like I'm in the process of planning to go nomadic with my life, which means you have to pay at least for a year, not forever necessarily, but like that. I look around every day at my stuff and be like, yeah, all of that could go. Like
That's
I'm in this
amazing.
place where I'm
And
like,
this is news
I
to me.
could
I
go.
hadn't heard that you made this decision. That's very
I
exciting,
have it's
actually.
I had made it a while, like a long time ago and hadn't really talked about like or I'd wanted to do it after 5 years or whatever. Like I had said at
Yes.
the end, like when my lease is up next August, so it's several months from now.
Okay.
Um, and so I've already given away a couple of boxes of stuff that I'm like, I just don't even need that or use it. And it's really amazing once you start thinking, like, if I'm going to be on the road for a year, what do you do with all your stuff? And like, it's get rid of it.
Is
Is
it
the
worth storing? Yeah, all of
Is
that.
it worth storing? And 90 I bet it's gonna be 98% of it is not.
Yeah.
Everything is replaceable. Everything that I have, even the stuff like I like my furniture. I have a lot of dishes. The hardest thing's gonna be my kitchen because 'cause I'm like a kitchen person. That's probably gonna be the hardest part, but even in there, I was looking at stuff and I'm like, "You know what? Those are sitting on top of the refrigerator and I don't use them. Gone." I'm gonna
Yeah,
so there's a
either
box
use
of
them or
stuff.
get rid of them. Like, decide, "I'm gonna use them
Use them or
or
get rid of
I
them
don't
is
need
the answer,
them." Yeah.
and I'm just gonna get rid of a lot of stuff. I
I love
actually
that.
don't think I'm gonna try to not store anything if I can manage, or just
Wow.
very important things that you can't replace, family photos,
Yeah.
like, important keepsakes, that kind of thing, but I can probably put that in a couple of boxes, honestly,
Yeah. That's
you
exciting.
know?
I mean, I think simplifying in any way possible is always the answer. And I have a love-hate relationship with AI, but that's one of the ways that I've used it to support
Mhm.
me is I overthink, I make, project management. I make all of these things really difficult. I'm like, just streamline this for me and give me a fucking checklist and like help me out with that. I was on a call with a client, a one-on-one client yesterday. She's super overwhelmed with everything with the holidays and there's work stuff and she's listing out all of her things. And I asked, is there anything that's on the list that doesn't need to be? She thought about it for a long time. And she's like, no, I don't think so. Everything needs to get done. And I said, then what can shift within each thing? So, for example, the holiday card. What can you simplify with your holiday card? Oh, okay. I guess I could simplify that, blah, 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 right? And then by the end of the day, she had sent me a screenshot of the holiday card that was designed. And they do a custom calendar for the family every year. And everybody's got custom pictures and this and that. And I said, what can you simplify there? She's like, oh, I guess I could just do general pictures and I don't have to customize 10 of them. I'm like, excellent, right? Like, so you could just go through the things that are causing you distress and say, is there a way to make this easier?
Mm, mhm.
Because we get so focused on how hard everything is. And Nicole, don't you
Yeah.
think it's interesting? I think it's because we're conditioned to believe that if it's not hard, it's not worthy.
Totally, and we get sold that
Mhm.
by toxic capitalism,
Mhm.
white supremacy and patriarchy,
Mhm.
that the more is always better, and it's not just in terms of numbers, we do that with overcomplicating things too. So it's not just that we have to do 75,000 things, we also need to do them all at 1,010%, like, and I am so type A in that way. I want everything to be done really, really, really well. And I have to say entrepreneurship has like gotten rid of a lot of that for me because you can only do what you can do. And
Yes.
you're like, okay, then I'm going to put out this thing that I know needs improvement, but I'll learn what it needs to kind of going back to our learning one. I'll learn what needs to improve. I'll do the 2.0 version and the 3. And like on and
Mhm.
on. And I'm really amazed at how over incrementally, and you lose sight of it sometimes, but like incrementally, that thing that I did several years ago is going to be such a different thing now. But that doesn't make that effort bad. That was the
No.
foundation you built from.
Yeah. But it's funny you saying like doing things to the thousandth percent is all of that conditioning. And that leads me to my second
Oh, go for it.
learning
Go for
of
it.
the year. And I see our mutual friend, Kevin Chung here. Kevin
Hi,
picked up
Kevin.
his life and moved to Costa Rica. That's he's talking about purging was an ordeal. So that made me think of Costa Rica. Um, I did that with the Costa Rica retreat. So the lesson I learned is selling a retreat is hard. That's the lesson I heard.
That's a big learning right there, Heather.
harder than you think it is, people. But I did do what you just said with this retreat. This retreat is really special. And I have come to the conclusion that I can host retreats and sell retreats that do not have to be this extreme. This is unique and special, and I'm not sure that I will ever do anything this specific again. Right? It was a huge, huge, huge financial commitment to me. We have an entire property, a lot of space to fill. Very excited, but also from a planning perspective, it was very overwhelming. I really had to use all my tips and tricks, all of my subconscious reprogramming tools I have been using on myself, subliminal audios, time techniques, hypnotherapy, EFT, all of it, right? To
Yeah.
help me stay centered and grounded and focused and choosing ease and peace and not freaking the fuck out because I have made this huge financial commitment. But what's interesting is I had 10 people who signed up immediately as soon as I started selling it. Like, boom, 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 boom. It was great. Here I am. I'm trying to sell, between 15 and 20 spots. I could go up to 33. I didn't want to do that. I want to have a smaller, intimate group. But I have since been introduced to some other formats for retreat planning and hosting that maxes at 10 people. Well, gosh, wouldn't my life have been easier if I'd done that?
Oh,
If for the
interesting.
last year, I would have been sold out. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just
Right.
right. And so finding ways to simplify it. And it doesn't mean that I don't think I'm in the right place with this one because I do. It feels like it chose me and the right people will show up and we
Yeah.
still have a month and a half to get people registered and signed up, but I can simplify this process in the future. I can
Yeah.
apply these other learnings that we've gotten to creating something that doesn't feel like such a mountain to climb.
Right. Right.
So that was my number 2 was selling a high-end luxury retreat is hard.
Oh my gosh. Yes. It's so hard.
Even though it's worth it, and if you want a good 6-day break and you wanna really, really see, and what's funny because the retreat is called Reclaiming Your Peace, and so it's all the things we're talking about.
Yeah.
How do you
Right.
simplify? How do you choose peace? How do you find it and feel it in your body, and how does that affect how you show up in every other element of your life?
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
guys wanna come? Come on.
Yeah. And so actually some of what you said connects to my second one
I
as
love that.
well, which is I had trouble like putting it into like a small amount of words, but I'm like alignment for manifestation was the best thing that I could come
Mm,
up with, which really doing that interior work to help yourself let go of stuff so that you can move forward. And I have long known this wisdom when I'm like helping to lead change for other people. Like you
mhm.
have to make space for grief for people to be able to move forward. And I have completely neglected doing that for myself, I think.
Mhm.
Like I'm just like, oh, I just railroad into the next thing. I'm just like, oh, get back on the train, go do the next thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's just catching up with me. Like there's only so long that your body or the universe or not the universe maybe, but like that I can sustain that. So I've had to do a lot of interior work this year in order to manifest the abundance that I want or the joy that I want or the things that I want
I love
to
that.
do. And so as you know, I've worked with you, Heather, you doing a time treatment and use some of your subliminal audio. And we're almost done. I did it's a 7-week group
With
experience
Kim,
with our friend Kim Romaine.
I'm so excited you did that. I wanted to do it, the timing just didn't work out.
Yeah, it is. We have one more week left. So good. And I feel like with whatever residual blocks I have really feel gone for the next level. And we'd already made a lot of progress on that. Like so
That's
it was
amazing.
but still chipping. So whatever was holding me back around, especially around money and other things, really feels like it's in a different place now. And that is that has come out. And one of the interesting things is that Kim, who is like us and is just no bullshit about her, like, is like, this isn't about like, hey, I need and it can be about needing anything, but money is an easy example. Like, so I need $5,000 to pay bills by the end of December. Okay. But instead of saying it must be a $5,000 check or amount that drops into your bank account, it's about looking for
Yes.
where the support is coming from,
Yeah.
because you can chip away at the $5,000 or chip away at selling the retreat or chip away at manifesting a new podcast like I've done this year in so many ways.
Yeah.
Like, it can happen in so many
Yes.
different ways that you maybe don't expect, and that maybe doesn't need the whole $5,000 you thought you needed. Or
Yeah.
again, whatever the thing was that you wanted.
Or just
So
being
don't get
open to,
fixated. I'm a real
yeah.
fixator. Don't get fixated on the way you think it needs to happen. Like, be open to
Yeah.
seeing where support is coming from.
Yeah, and just being open to your problems being solved in unique and unexpected ways in general.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that bill disappears. Maybe you don't have it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. Right.
Great, right? Like, yes, staying open to that. And that, so my third one is not, again, they're all, this is so fun, tangential. My third one is honoring my process. And my process is so different than everybody else's process that it is really easy for me to get into my head about how, if there are any issues, if my books aren't full, if my checking account's not full. Like, oh, well, it's because you don't work hard enough or you don't do it right or whatever, which is bullshit. And I know the more that I rest and trust my process, the more successful I am. And actually, it's really funny that you brought up Kim. I love Kim. Interesting
Yeah.
side note. I did not know this when I created the ease pathway, but Kim's system is ease also. And we're going to do a live in the new year. How about the more ease, the better,
Yeah.
because we do different work, but it's very complementary work. And there's room for all the ease. But
Yeah.
I was in a session with Kim. I had done time techniques for her, and she did an energy session for me, and we were calibrating all of my chakras, and my heart chakra was like still kind of wacky. So I sat and I did, she has you breathe into it and hear what it has to say. And what it said was, you silly girl, you're not supposed to do it like everybody else does.
Hmm.
That's not,
Hmm.
that's not who you are. You're supposed to be different. That's the whole point in you existing. And also, when have you ever not been held? When have you ever not been held? When have you ever not had exactly what you need when you need it?
Yeah.
Okay, right? So just breathing into trusting my process and not questioning myself, even though it's very, very different than the way everybody else I know operates.
Yeah. 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 For sure. Oh, for sure. I love that. Um, and that actually very well leads me to my third thing.
Of course it does.
This is not surprising. Hey,
We
folks
did
who are
not talk
watching,
about these in
we did not
advance.
talk about this at all. Other than we're gonna bring 3 things and talk about them. That's all we planned. And so I said this is probably my biggest learning. So, like, drum roll, and this will come as a surprise to no one, I think, because of what I've done this year, which is like, just ask for what you need. And I'm so bad at that. I don't want to ask people for what I need because I should be able to do it all by myself, blah, blah, blah. You were just
Don't
talking
want to
about
be
all that.
disappointed, all of that. Yeah.
Right? People think that I can't do things, I'm not competent or I'm not good enough or
And
whatever, which is
everyone's too busy. I don't want to bother.
I don't wanna bother people, whatever, and it's nonsense. They do wanna be bothered and they wanna help, like, that's actually true. So, like, and I learned that, I mean, I kind of knew that intellectually, but, like, when I said, "I'm gonna get really brave," speaking of being brave, and I'm gonna do crowdfunding for my podcast so that I can
Amazing.
hire a professional launch, and as you know, and some of our friends who are watching know, like, it was messy. It did not go the way I wanted it to exactly. And there are definitely moments where I'm like, if I had just raised all the money I wanted, it'd be great. But you know what? I've had what I've needed along the way.
Yeah.
And so not only did I raise the money to pay the bill to pay someone to help me launch, which is great. Now I'm in this place of incredible ease because every time I email Alicia, who's also freaking amazing, and I'll be like, "Hey," this is an example. I emailed a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey, I was thinking, like, oh, I need the page on my website. Is that something you do, or should I just block time? It's fully, and I'm almost apologetic. I totally can do that. I'll block time to do it. If no, they're like, no, this is what we do. No, and we
You
got it.
paid for this. You
They're
paid for
like,
this. It's
thanks, but we'll
okay.
do it. Like, just,
Yeah.
oh yeah, just give us user access to your website. It'll be fine. Like, and that's just one example of the dozens of things they're doing. But I mean, they're not lying. Like, what they do is help you launch so that all you have to do is concentrate on
Creating the
producing the
show.
content.
Yeah.
Like, just concentrate on finding the guests, just concentrate on that kind of stuff. And that's not, I mean, I have to approve graphics. I just did that this morning and do other things. But like,
Yeah, that's fun work. If they're
that is fun
producing
work. You like, and I
good
didn't have to like
quality.
I'm not looking at my own work, right? Like, when you're evaluating your own work, it's a lot different and harder.
Yeah.
And so this is, it's making this launch really joyful and opening up, because I have more ease with that. I have more space to be creative, and I'm like, I really want to do like a little party to get people to rate and review the trailer. Because the algorithm apparently is like, says that that's what you should do,
Oh,
which is
that's a
nuts.
fun idea. I've never heard of that before. Like, let's
Well,
all
I
get together and
know I
let's all
hadn't
do it
either.
at the same time.
Right. So it's bonkers. So this is what having someone tell me about the launch for.
Yeah.
So she goes, "Hey, it's good to have," and she's like, I don't have to do this party, by the way, but like, just get people to rate and review it, at least a few. And I'm like, well, we're just gonna have a little party to do that.
Yeah.
But
Why
how do I
not?
make it not drudgery? And this is when I turned to ChatGPT actually the other day. I was tired and whatever, and I'm like, this has to not be, I just said, this is my basic idea. How do we make it not drudgery? And we came up with a really fun idea for next Thursday, a week from tomorrow,
Yay. I love
to
that.
do a little party. And I'll be giving away some prizes for you wearing your coziest sweatshirt or whatever you want to
Oh,
wear.
that's my everyday. So I
I
probably
know,
shouldn't win a
me
prize for that.
too. And most of our friends, honestly, that's just sort of our default mechanism. We work at home, so we wear whatever the hell we want. Um, yeah, so I'm doing this really fun, like, let's do a little fun party and like make it a whole thing, and people can drop in and do some rating and review. Like, but the rating and reviewing will take us about 2 minutes. Like the rest of it will be other fun things. So, and
But
that if you subscribe to my Substack, you'll get an invite for that really shortly.
I love that because everybody wants to. Nobody doesn't want to. Nobody's like, I don't want to rate and review your podcast,
Of
but
course
we
not.
just put things off. We don't have the time. So if there's dedicated time, like, go do it right now. I
Right.
mean, it's like I speak, I'm a professional speaker, or you go to an event and they go right now and click this button. You're like, oh, okay, I'll go do
Oh,
it right
good.
now. Right. Like
Right.
yeah, we
Right.
just need to create space for it. I love
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
I love how all six of our learnings merge in and
Yeah.
it's not surprising. And I think all of the things that we learn lead a foundation to the new things that we learn, and being open to trying new
Yeah.
things and changing your mind and getting uncomfortable. And I love it. And
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you and all the things you've done this year.
Yeah, oh, likewise. Like, it has been, both of us have had trying trying years in different ways, right?
Yeah.
But I
Haven't
I
we
feel
all?
really good about where I'm at. Even with the things, and the things that have not worked out or that have seemingly failed, at least for me, have felt like they needed to go. Like, those were
Yeah.
things that they just needed to be gone from my life, and that's okay. And yeah, there's grief in that, and there's disappointment and sadness, and sometimes even anger and all that on and mixed in.
Yeah.
But that's okay. And then and it made space. Every
Sorry.
single time something ended, it made space for something else.
I was so impressed. For those of you who are just joining us, earlier this year, Nicole did a Kickstarter to launch her podcast, Just Rest. Worked her ass off, beat all of her own little demons, got out of her comfort zone. She used some subliminal audios to help her do that, which is very cool. Some of my
I
human design
did,
subliminal
because
audio,
they're awesome.
but the Kickstarter didn't get funded,
Did not.
and I I was so impressed and so inspired by the fact that you were like, Okay, great. So we use this as a learning experience. You went back to every person who had pledged and said, "Are you still willing to give me that money?" And then you use that money and parlayed it into launching your fucking podcast, right? Like,
Right.
it doesn't have to be one way. You do it in the
Right.
way that is presented to you. And we often can't see in advance. We cannot predict the way in which our problems will be solved, which was one of your things, right? Like, you
Right.
need money to pay the bills. Well, maybe the bills will disappear. I know they don't always, but maybe it will. Maybe there'll be a grant that comes in. I
There'll
don't
be
know,
money you'll get some
right?
other way if it's money is the thing,
Something
but
else, something will
whatever, right?
surprise you. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But it's the trick is I think staying open, having that pause, reflecting and going, okay, here's what actually happened. Here's the information. Here's what I'm learning from it. Now who do I want to be? What do I want to do with this information? What am I going to do next? And then that's resiliency. Then getting up, I do need to get differently. That's the key to success,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Totally.
That's it.
Totally. Yeah.
But you got to pause and you got to reflect.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, I already had a backup plan for like because I'd never done Kickstarter before, it wasn't surprising that given their parameters that like you either get fully funded or they don't give you the money. Like I knew that there was a very good chance because I was just inexperienced that that might happen. And now I've found like a totally new a different and much easier honestly way
Mm.
to to do that kind of funding and charging people. And I even used it a little bit. I was mentioning this before we went live that I just did my annual planning session for my coaching community yesterday. And got the idea. I said, I don't have the bandwidth to put a big push out, like to sell it, which I often have, like say, hey, if you want to come to this, like you can buy a ticket for it. I'm not going to do the whole Eventbrite thing, which takes a lot of effort. It's a good platform, but it's got a lot of places you gotta put things.
Yeah.
And, I didn't it's not simple, we'll say that. And I didn't have time for all the social media and all the nonsense that you have to do to push it. I'm like, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna send one email to people who have gone in the past and say and to my community and say, I'm here's" and I made a very simple, like, landing page in Notion and made a really simple sign up and said, "Here, if you want to sign up, do it." And then I used the same kind of link. It's not the same link, but I made a similar link because now I know how to do that to say, "You can give me anything in this range for the ticket."
Mm.
And
So
people
pay what you
chose what
can.
yeah, right. I mean, I
Uh,
gave them the range that felt like okay to me, depending on what people can afford. And like those were the majority of people who showed up to that were those people.
I love
Who
that.
like and they were again had people who had come before and then someone invited someone who had never come. Because I gave them permission. I said, "The algorithm is, like, just a pain in the I didn't say it exactly that way, but the algorithm is a pain in the ass. So here's the thing," like,
Yeah.
here like, "So, why don't you invite the people you know who would benefit from this? You all
Love it.
know that this is good. Um, invite your
Easy,
friends."
creative problem solving. I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. I
I
love it.
just
I
said
love it.
and honestly, that was low stakes. If no one else had signed up, it would have been fine. I would have done it, and I wouldn't have been all that upset, but I ended up having 4 people who wouldn't have been there otherwise.
That's great. This
So
has
what does
been
it mean
so much fun.
it is so much fun. Anything that what's for next year that's big besides the retreat, which of course is in early January, so that's next year technically, but it's consumed your whole year this year,
Yeah,
or most of
2 years, 2
2
years,
years.
2 years. I'm gonna be relieved.
You're just gonna
I
spend
am
some time chilling then when you get back.
Yeah. I actually don't do my big goal planning in the winter. I follow nature's cycles. So I will be leaning into rest and rejuvenation and recalibrating with myself and
Uh-huh.
nurturing myself through the winter. And then in the
Nice,
spring is when I will do all of my big picture planning for the year
nice.
ahead.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Um,
What about you?
yeah.
Do you know?
I well, I learned because Heather and others have taught me about my human design and my chart and whatnot. This is also a learning. I kind of named that in a different context. But my planning time according to my chart is actually fall. And that definitely is true. I sort of kick into next year mode in like October.
Like the teacher, like school, start of school kind of thing.
Kind of the right
That
around
makes
that
sense.
time.
I've had
Only
other clients like
teachers
that
have to
too.
think in, like, August. I'm tend to be a little later than that, but,
Later in
like,
the year.
I
Yeah.
start kicking into planning, so I've made space for that new community that I'm launching called the Calm Calendar Club. That's gonna happen in January, early February. The podcast is launching. I did a lot of networking in the past year and a half, really almost 2 years. I have some new clients that I'm doing training programs for,
It's exciting.
including my time boss. I'm doing that as a 7-week, they call it an affinity group, kind of like a group
Love that.
coaching, for a
Yeah.
client. That'll be in spring and early summer. I have a client retreat. Speaking of retreats, I'm doing a retreat for clergy in April, in Florida, which will be
You're
exciting.
so busy. Listen to all
So I
this.
have the first half of the year is already pretty mapped out, but again, that was because I was planting seeds, because I was letting go of the other stuff, and because I said,
Yeah.
"Okay, it's time to close." I really feel even energetically like the universe knows I'm shutting that down, so now there's space for
That's
everything.
that's it. I love that.
And
Releasing what you don't want so that you can make room for what you do, even if you don't know what it is yet.
yeah,
Cool. Yeah.
totally.
Well, friend, I have to go get ready for a
Me too.
client.
I have another thing in about 15 minutes also, but thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you to the 6 folks who have joined. I can see the names I can see, not all of them are scrolling, but like, oh, Kevin's here and
Margaret.
oh, Margaret and
Jessica.
Barbara and Michelle and
Yeah. Thanks,
Robert and
everybody.
other fabulous humans. Thanks for being here. And thank you, Heather, for doing this wild thing with me
Thanks.
today on a
Yes.
busy day. All
Thanks
right.
for asking me to. Talk to y'all
Sure, of
later.
course. All righty. Bye bye.
Bye.